This is David Schmidt with ESFI reporting from Seoul, Korea at the OSL with Doa, who has graciously agreed to do an interview with us and share a little bit about his experience as a caster. Doa, you're back in Korea. Has it felt any different after being away for a while?
Yes and no. It's kind of like it feels weird. It's kind of like a return home almost for me, because I felt so comfortable here when I was casting the GSL and working at GOM TV that to a certain extent it does feel like coming back to like what I know and what I'm comfortable with. But at the same time, it's a new company, it's a new kind of part of the city that I'm learning, so there's a lot of different things too. Luckily, you know, I can hang out with the same friends I hung out with last time, and so I'd say yes and no, but overall it feels really, really comfortable to come back. I'm like so happy to be back.
Excellent. And talking about comparing, you know, your broadcast experience with Code A to here, is the process of casting much different?
Not too much. I mean, the setting is different, but you still have the PD talking in your ear, you know, letting you know when things are going to happen. I mean, it's a broadcast pretty much like any other broadcast, but you know, that's good. It's nice to have, you know, an easy transition into something again, you know, that you're kind of familiar with and that you're used to. So yeah, it's very, very similar to casting Code A. The biggest difference is that we aren't in the crowd like we were at the GSL studio, and that kind of bothered me initially at first. I actually had them change it so that they pump the crowd sounds through our headsets too, because for me, I really like to be able to hear the crowd and kind of like feed off that a little bit too. I feel like that's really important for like bringing more energy out in my casting. So I'm hoping that we can have a setup where we can be moved out to the actual audience area sometime soon, because I really like being able to like look over and see a player's face when something happens too. You know, you can be like, oh man, after he lost that medevac, he doesn't look happy. You know, that'll be able to like really help bring out the players' personalities. You know, by being able to see them react to things like right there in person.
You casted with a lot of different people for a lot of different organizations. And what is the key to your success through all this, you know, change? Do you have any tips for those who want to be casters in the future?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it comes down to just being a professional, just being like, all right, I'm here to do my job, which is to cast this game, and part of your job is to work with whoever you're put to cast with. You know, whether you enjoy working with them or not, you always have to be ready to sort of fit your style, kind of modify what you're doing to make it mesh a little bit better with them. If you try, because, well, here's as far as like advice to newer casters, I've seen a lot of people, and I've like worked with some newer casters that they want to kind of like, it's hard to kind of say take the spotlight, I guess, but it's not a matter of selfishness, but they just want to feel like they're contributing. And so when you're concentrating so much on what you have to say, that actually hurts your casting a lot, because you're not because a big part of casting is reacting to what the other person says and all that. So yeah, if I could give any advice to like newer casters, it's really focus a lot of your effort during the cast on your co-caster. That'll help the chemistry be better, it'll help the show be better, you'll be able to work together to see things that you maybe didn't see by yourself. You know, you won't repeat things that your co-caster just said. So yeah, I feel like it's definitely one thing I've learned from casting with so many people is just you need to focus on your co-caster as much as you focus on the game.
Recently you had a health scare that delayed you coming to Korea, and you had your gallbladder removed and received a lot of community support from fans. Would you mind walking us through what happened and how you're doing now?
Oh, well, as far as how I'm doing now, I'll just answer that right away. I'm perfectly fine. There's like no side effects at all. I can eat all the spicy food I want here in Korea, which is fantastic. Apparently the gallbladder like isn't that important after all, so that's good. But yeah, it was not fun at all. I wouldn't really describe it like that for sure, but it was a huge disappointment. I had moved out of my apartment, actually. I was staying with relatives for a couple days before I came to Korea, and then like that happened suddenly. So suddenly, like the day I'm supposed to be flying to Korea, I'm in the hospital instead. And then there's like weeks of kind of laying around and recovering after a while. And you know, a lot of people would be like, oh, well, it's nice to relax. And I mean, I did like get to spend a lot of my days sitting by a pool reading and things like that. But after like 3 or 4 days of that, you just start to go so like cabin fever crazy. You have to like get out there and do something, and I didn't have a setup where I could, you know, cast anything for my YouTube channel or anything like that. So I actually I spent a lot of time watching VODs, and I actually learned a lot about Dota 2 actually during that time. I didn't really know much about the game before, but the international was going on during that, so I spent a couple days and like really focused on learning the game just to kind of, add a little bit of that knowledge to the repertoire, I guess you could say. But as far as like the community goes, it's actually just amazing to see all the support that just perfect strangers would give you just because they like your casting. It's really humbling, and it really touched me. I mean, it really like made me feel emotional about it. I mean, that, and then like I talked a little bit about my divorce that I'm going through right now too, and just to have everyone share their stories and like tell me about empathize with my situation, to see all that, it really means a lot to me. I mean, the community is so awesome, and my fans are so awesome, and so it really puts a lot of positive pressure on me to come out here and do as amazing job as I can, and I'm gonna do it. So yeah, the community is amazing, and luckily all that happened was I lost my gallbladder, and then everything's good. So yeah.
So the moral of the story is it's good to lose your gallbladder?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, I would recommend it to anybody. If you can pick an organ to get rid of, gallbladder, maybe appendix, tonsils too, but gallbladder's a pretty safe bet. Yeah.
Sounds good. The OSL has always seemed to do a good job for the Korean market of telling the players' stories, whether it be behind-the-scenes featurettes and things of that nature. Can you talk about whether the OSL has any plans to help communicate the players' stories and kind of things beyond the game to the English and international audience?
Well, I can tell you right now there aren't any like official plans to do that, but I can also tell you that my personal plans are to absolutely do that. It's something I'm really going to push for a lot. I'm becoming very involved with OGN's global marketing with the OSL, and I really want the story of the KESPA players to come to the Western audience. I mean, a lot of these guys people already know a lot about because of the OSL, being around forever, all the history with it. But there's a lot of other players other than, the Flashes and the J-Dongs that people need to learn about. So as I'm here and as I get to know these players, I want the community to get to know them too. So yeah, absolutely. My plans are to incorporate a lot of that into the broadcasts, and I'm going to be pushing as hard as I can to get that sort of content out there for people.
Great. And do you have any projects in the works?
I guess no real new projects, at least nothing that I can really talk about right now, but my old projects that I'm still wanting to continue, the shows I was doing for IPL, like Cartographer and Build Order Breakdown, all those, I'm still absolutely planning on continuing those. I'm kind of trying to figure out what the best setup would be to get that out there to the community, and I'm trying to kind of maybe revitalize a few of them. Like I'm thinking of going to Heart of the Swarm for my map show instead, and taking a few weeks and maybe doing a short season to look at the maps in the beta. But yeah, those projects, those shows are absolutely going to continue, and when they come back, they're going to come back bigger and better than ever.